Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:36. And Stone Temple Pilots of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
I had to put on my shorts this morning. It's so warm out there. It's going to be a hot one today. Sunny with a high of 28 tomorrow. Sunny with a high of 29. It's 8 degrees. No negative in front of that today.
Well, that's good, because I'm not prepared for anything lower than 0.
There you go.
Today's a Thunderbird Thursday. Your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets and a bunch of other great stuff for Saturday's game against the Providence Bruins. That's coming up later on this morning. And also, code word Alexa. Your chance to win an Amazon Echo Pop.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Sure it will. We'll give you the code word, and then we'll give you all the instructions on what to do with that code word for your chance to win an Echo Pop.
All right.
Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Your Echo is ready.
The Amazon Echo Pop is like the new radio for your home. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:52 in Motley Crue with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Sunny today with a high of 28. It is 8 degrees in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by the Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
America's favorite comedian, Amy Schumer, was recently on the Call Her Daddy podcast, so of course that means she made a few sex confessions. She said she's never experienced an O from P.
Can I buy a vowel?
Penetration. She never experienced the full.
Well,
finish.
She's never had Steve Nagle.
Well, she ain't never gonna either. So I guess she's dry for the rest of her life. It's a scary thing to say out loud. It's scary because nobody talks about it, and we're all like getting an Oscar. But she added that she's had generous partners who understand that she needs to finish. She also said the craziest fan interaction was when she received, mouth to, from a professional baseball player after a stand-up set.
A-Rod?
Probably.
What about Alex Rodriguez? See what I'm getting at there? That's a twist on words.
Oh, he does like the manly look.
Steve, I could have gone my entire life without ever realizing or understanding, even wanting to know about the sexual exploits, likes and dislikes of an Amy Schumer.
Why wouldn't you? Doesn't everybody want to know?
No.
Then why is she even in the news?
I don't know.
But after she got hers, she was tired and sent him on his way. But she said he was pretty cool about it. She didn't say who it was, but you know who you are. Yeah, you know what? It was he probably had her sign an NDA going, don't tell anybody that we did any of this. Please. Here's something we all needed. Post Malone teamed up with Oreo to create his own cookie, and it features the first ever twisted cream center.
Really?
The cream is salted caramel and shortbread, and it's sandwiched between the typical chocolate cookie on one side and a golden cookie on the other. Each cookie will have one of 9 embossed designs that include a nod to his music, like a sunflower, a knight, a saw blade, a pickup truck, and a butterfly. I was just saying that the other day. I really wish I had more pickup truck designs on my Oreo cookie.
Yeah. I would eat a Post Malone cookie faster than I would eat, like a Progresso soup lozenge.
You know what? I'll tell you after this with the joke I want to say, but I can't say it because it's just too much.
Okay.
I would eat a Post Malone cookie before referencing what we just talked about. Posty said, quote, I really want to... Posty? That's his name?
Yeah, right.
I really wanted to create a flavor that shows off my different sides. That was important to me. We tried like 50 different combinations. I've been really into salted caramel lately, so I knew that had to be part of it. The shortbread balanced out the flavor and made the perfect twist. This twist is by far my favorite part. When I couldn't decide between classic chocolate and golden cookie, I said, why not do both? That was a fun day of work. And they'll be available for pre-sale at Oreo.com on Monday, and will start hitting shelves on February 3rd.
I'm going to have to put Oreo.com in my favorites.
For all the things that divide us as a country, I think Post Malone's Oreo cookie will help with humanity.
Every time I've seen him or heard his music, I thought, boy, I can only imagine how delicious he'd be in a cookie.
Wouldn't that be great?
Nope. Absolutely not.
This year marks the... You want to feel old, buddy? You ready
Sure.
to feel old? This year marks the 36th anniversary of when Harry met Sally.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Not really one of those milestone anniversaries, but it looks like something is happening. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal both posted a photo of the two of them sitting on a couch together wearing clothing similar to outfits in the movie. And Meg said, quote, "It's finally happening. We're reuniting for something iconic. I can't wait to show you all soon." There's no word yet on what we're waiting for. FYI, this was Billy's first Instagram post ever. That wasn't even on his own account. It was somebody else. She has not aged well. She looks good in this photo, but I have seen some pictures when she was married to. Is she still married to John Cougar Mellencamp, or is that
No.
That's a long gone.
That's long gone.
Right? But yeah, and he looks like an old man would look like.
She's a person that had like some work done.
Yeah.
Who should never have had work done.
Yeah, like what was the other one from Dirty Dance? Jennifer Grey. Never should have had work done.
She never had that nose job.
That imperfect nose made her perfect.
But she looked good.
Yeah.
She looked great after that surgery. Meg Ryan didn't.
Yeah.
People are now saying, "I'll have what she used to have."
Yes, I will have whatever she had before this plastic surgery. No, would you like some lip filler? No. I want regular Meg Ryan.
The non-Botox Meg Ryan.
Oh, and here's something we all need. Duck Dynasty, the revival, will debut on A&E sometime this summer. It's a focus on Willie and Corey Robertson and their kids, and as they plot the future of the Duck Commander business. Kay and Uncle C or Sa, I didn't watch the show. But Phil Robertson is not listed among the cast. He's been battling Alzheimer's disease and reportedly is in poor health. The original Duck Dynasty aired its last episode in March of 2017, almost 8 years ago, after 11 seasons. Willie and Corey said, quote, "Going back on A&E feels like a little back to going home."
All right. I guess I'll not watch it a second time.
I was going to say, I only know it because it was shoved in our faces all over social media with clips and whatnot.
And I would usually swipe around it.
I don't even know. They're duck hunters? Is that what they are?
They had a company that made equipment for duck hunting.
Oh.
And I believe that's what it was all about. Of course, I could also not know what the hell I'm talking about as well, but I believe they were a successful business.
Oprah Winfrey used to think thin people had more willpower, but now she realizes they just don't think about food the same way. They're eating when they're hungry and they're stopping when they're full. Wow, I'm really glad I paid $500 for that Oprah Winfrey diet plan to find out the obvious.
You get a diet plan, and you get a diet plan.
A new report shows that Kim Kardashian spent over $500,000 collectively on plastic surgery.
Wow.
Including the $150,000 tummy tuck.
She must have had something to say.
Oh, my God, the last time I had a tuck on the tummy was when Ray J gave me the Scandinavian belly loader right above my hairway to heaven and that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Caitlin?
Whatever, got that down and dirty with your mother. Chris Kim, but I once had a hob schlob on the bob knob. I made some umbilical dip for the crotch carrot.
That's a new one. What are you trying to say?
Oh, we're just trying to expand.
No, you have to.
What I'm trying to say is once I was done, I got a blast of air from the chunky monkey, and it smelled like somebody just opened up a fresh pack of Juicy Coot. The taste is gonna move you when you put it in your mouth. Juicy Coot is gonna move you. And that's your Hollywood trash from Rock 102.
Leah Honda in Enfield delivers the best price, along.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Winter Storm Headquarters, before and after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I think we can all agree that the social medias are a toxic cesspool of bad ideas, snap judgments, misunderstandings, and gross overreactions. You know, like regular face-to-face interaction, but with far more social distancing built right in. Unfortunately, we tend to take what we read online and make quick assumptions without any true regard as to who said what, where, and towards whom. The NFL is no different, since they have now found themselves in a situation where they have begun fining players for things they didn't say. This week, the NFL slapped Texas running back Joe Mixon with a $25,000 fine after he allegedly criticized the officiating during the AFC divisional playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The quote in question was this, quote, "Why play the game if every 50-50 call goes to the Chiefs? Those officials are trash and biased." Now here's the problem. That quote never came from Joe Mixon. It came from Cincinnati wide receiver TJ Houshmandzadeh. That quote, which originated from a post on X, was then misattributed to Mixon by Sports Illustrated, which the NFL sees as a far more credible source. Mixon, rightfully so, appealed the fine. He then went on his X account and made the following statement, quote, "Everybody knows how it is playing up there. You can never leave it in the ref's hands. The whole world sees what it is." This came one day after Mixon offered another quote on X saying, quote, "I'm getting fined by the NFL for what someone else said. What's next? I get fined by them for Connor McDavid cross-checking an opponent during an NHL hockey game?" Well, yeah, these are good points, of course. Unfortunately, because of his critical point of view, the NFL is reissuing the fine against Joe Mixon for these critical statements. Apparently, it's a violation to be critical of the league's decisions after the league decision has made about things that you didn't do. That is until you actually do them, at which point you are susceptible to a $25,000 fine. Now, either the NFL really needs the $25,000, or you have a couple of football players saying stuff that everybody in America is saying about your lousy one-side officiating. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. Look, I'm taking a look at the deals this month at Rocky's. The bird food, the storage totes, the hand tools. I'm looking at the printed flyer. Pick one up at any Rocky's store or see the sales flyer online at Rockies.com. What's on sale at Rocky's? It's always at your fingertips at Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 6:12, and the Scorpions with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It is 8 degrees in downtown Springfield, which is 16 degrees warmer than it was yesterday morning, if you can believe that. It's still pretty darn cold out there.
We had Thunderbird Thursday today. Your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Saturday's game against the Providence Bruins. We'll give you all the information about that a little bit later on.
So you know my adoration for thrift stores. I love buying funky stuff at thrift stores.
You like popping tags?
I do love popping tags.
You got $20 in your pocket?
Well, no. I did yesterday.
So you bought those R. Kelly sheets?
I did. There was a brand new thrift store that opened up in Westfield yesterday, in the old Moose Club.
Oh, no kidding!
Right on Washington Street.
Yeah.
And you know what? First of all, it's the cleanest thrift store I've ever seen.
You could practically eat off the floor.
Well, I mean, close enough. But it was like you walk down in the basement where the bar used to be at the Moose Club, and I'm like, oh, wow, this place has come a long way from the fruit flies that used to hang around the liquor bottles. And the same 4 guys sitting there contemplating life. But yeah, it's called Sushi's Thrift, which is an odd name for a store.
Sushi's?
Yeah. Which
Okay.
is kind of, that's going to confuse people, I think.
Are you going through there for thrift shopping or for sushi?
No, there's no sushi there. It's just maybe it's somebody's nickname or something that they did that. They held its grand opening celebration yesterday from 3 to 6 p.m. Now, when I talk about, throwing French fries to a seagull out in the parking lot while you're sitting there behind the Burger King, that's kind of like what this was like, because there was free cookies and cakes and, all this other good stuff.
Thrift cakes.
And you walk in there and you can hardly move because there's so many people in there.
Okay.
And it was like, it's like stuff, some of the stuff is used and some of the stuff is like, hasn't been opened from a package yet, but it's older stuff.
Okay, sure.
And my friend, she got a TV for like $8.
How big was the TV?
It was a small 20-inch TV, but
Okay.
good enough for
Sure.
her and her husband to watch TV in the bedroom now, because they never had a TV in their bedroom. So they're gonna watch it on an $8 TV, which is pretty good. But they had, it's all this stuff, and actually, I wouldn't mind going back there. I didn't buy anything because the line was too long. I'm gonna let it fizzle out for a little bit. And
Yeah,
then,
let all the suckers get out of there, and then you go and you swoop in
Right.
and get all the great deals.
But they had some like tools and stuff that like if you ever needed something, I think that would be a good place to go to go get it. With the and 22 News was there.
Really?
And I don't know what her name is. Some young kid reporter. We've seen her before. I think she was at the Mayflower Marathon, but she didn't recognize me. And I was really hoping to do one of them Dick Goes In You, Barry McGuire, but they weren't interviewing anybody. But it was packed in there. And then there was a guy who came in, and he's like talking with I don't know if it was the owner or somebody that worked there. And there was a wet dry vac for $30, which is a pretty good deal.
That's a good deal.
And he was trying to haggle him to $20. Do you haggle at a thrift store?
You can, but that stuff is already so drastically
Well, that's
reduced.
what
I mean, it's like if it says $30, it's $30.
That's kind of where I'm going with that. I mean, I've been to Savers, I've gotten some lovely items over the years. I got that deer leg table, that taxidermy piece.
Oh yeah,
It was
that's a breathtaking piece.
Deer legs with the deer skin stool top. And I've also gotten a Dr. Spock painting. I've also gotten another Lamb of God painting, which is like an I don't want to say like an anarchist picture. It's a lamb sitting on an altar, and there's blood dripping down the front of it.
So in other words, some real nice stuff.
Because it was only $5. I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like odds and ends stuff. So this guy's trying to haggle with the owner, and the owner is like, no, this is the price. He's like, we have inventory, and we have to pay taxes, and we have to do all this stuff, so this is what the price is. And this guy was like, he's like, how much is this? And the guy goes, $30. And he goes, you mean 20? Like doing that whole thing. And he's like, no, it's 30. And he's like, no, you mean 20. And then the guy explains to him about how they have the inventory and they have to pay taxes and all this other stuff. And then the guy goes, well, you mean you can't haggle? This is not a thrift store. And then he walks out. He walked out of the store because he was so
over
mad.
$10.
Over $10.
What a jackass! If you're like at a tag sale,
Yeah.
or say like in Brimfield,
Yeah.
haggling is expected.
That's different.
That's totally
Yeah.
different. But this is stuff where a price is set, and a lot of times if you go to like, I don't know if you ever seen like the sheet you may get at like at other thrift stores that they kind of list out what you should be pricing things at, or when you donate these things for an approximate value for your taxes.
Right.
They tell you what maybe these things cost. $30 for a shop vac. That's a good deal. I don't care how big it is. That's a good deal.
It was a decent sized shop bag. It was probably like probably one of them 10 or 20. I don't know, 10 or 20 gallon. I don't know. It was a decent sized one. And then I've bought a shop bag before. Those things are at least $100.
Easy.
Brand new, and this thing was, again, these are like, it was clean. Everything was clean. Everything didn't look like, you go to like a Salvation Army and the stuff is so used that it's still got dirt from 50 years ago when the thing was made. This was like, stuff that was in pretty good shape, and this guy was just being a jerk to the guy working there.
Yeah. You got to know your spot.
Yeah.
And that's not the place to do it. Like even like at an antique shop.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can. There's a little bit of wiggle room.
A little bit,
but you can't expect a hell of a lot because depending on whether it's a vintage item or something, they could really they could go top dollar.
But I've never gone to a Salvation Army or a Savers and said, "What, you want $5 for this? I'll give you $2.50." Like that doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I've never had that experience. Do people do that?
I'm having some people say that you can do that at a thrift store. Yeah, you can if you're a tightwad. If you're a cheap penny pinching bastard.
And this place doesn't seem to be one of these charitable like organizations. This seems to be just like a regular thrift store business. So even at a charitable place, you're gonna try to haggle the price. I don't know. I just didn't think everything is so cheap, like you just said.
Yeah,
like it's not. I don't know. People are strange.
Let's say, for example, I'm in the I go to a place like this, and they got like a records, like a box of records.
Yeah,
and each record is like 25 cents. Because sometimes you'll see them for as low as 25 cents.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? I'm going to take a stack of records to the counter and say, listen, these are all 25 cents, but I'll take all of them for 10 cents each. I tell the guy to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, get out of here, man.
You can make more than double than that.
Speaking of which, records, we then went over to the Salvation Army where there was nobody there.
Right.
And I'm looking through the album. I always look through the albums.
Me too.
Because you never know if somebody's going to throw away something good.
That's true.
And there was an album there, the DeJohns. Have you ever heard of the DeJohns?
The Johns or
The DeJohn.
DeJohn.
Apostrophe J-O. I guess it was like a Boston.
I'm not sure I do.
Boston-based like group or something, and it was signed by the guy who was in the guy, whatever his name was,
Mr. DeJohn.
Mr. DeJohn. It was
John DeJohn
to a woman named Nancy. Nancy, thanks so much for you're listening to our music kind of thing.
What happened to Nancy?
I don't know, but I looked it up on eBay. It's worth $5, and it was only $1.
Man,
I didn't buy it.
you could have made 5 times your investment.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but they have some good stuff every once in a while. They had one of the, you know what they had at the Salvation Army? They had one of those old phones. It was for like old people, and it had like pictures of people you could put on speed dial. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, this is the best store I've ever been to in a long time. I don't even have to remember numbers anymore. My grandson programs them into the phone, and I just push his picture, and he automatically calls him up.
With this button, I can call my boyfriend. With this button, I can call my other boyfriend. With this button, I can call Mingles. And with this one, a very important one, CVS.
Why would you need Mingles on speed dial?
Just in case.
Just in case you need some antiseptic to get rid of whatever you got from there last night.
Honey, this is what I need to know. Is the place busy tonight, and are there available rooms behind the building?
It was like...
'Cause I don't want to have to go too far when I score.
Did you ever go into a Walgreens and see the Jitterbug cell phone with the giant buttons on it?
Sounds like the Jitterbug.
This was like the Jitterbug for the last of the landline phones before we changed over to cellular. It was a nice display.
Should have picked it up.
But, hey, you can get some good deals over at Sushi's Thrift in Westfield.
It's 6:23 on Rock 102.
What separates Rahul Construction from other general contractors is that working with us is fun. I'm Ryan Peltier, Project...
It is a Thunderbird Thursday. The Thunderbirds are taking on the Providence Bruins on Saturday. We have 4 tickets to that game, plus 4 hats, 4 koozies. We'll give that stuff away a little bit later on this morning. It's a Thunderbird Thursday here on Rock 102.
All right, you ready to laugh?
I'm ready to laugh.
Let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's classic rock.
So a few minutes before services started, Satan appears in the front altar of a church. Right?
Okay.
And everyone starts screaming and running for the front entrance, trampling each other in a frantic effort to get away from the evil, evil Satan.
Sure.
Right? Soon the church was empty except for one old man who sat calmly in his pew without moving and seemingly obvious to God's ultimate enemy in his presence. And Satan walks up to the guy and goes, "Do you know who I am?" And the guy goes, "Yep, sure do." And Satan says, "Well, aren't you afraid of me?" "No, sure ain't," said the guy. "Do you realize I could kill you with one word?" This is Satan talking.
Sure.
Right? And he goes, "Yep, don't doubt that for a minute." And he returned the old man in an even tone. "Do you know I can cause you profound, horrifying agony for all of eternity?" And then the guy goes, "Yeah," with very calm reply. "Are you still not afraid?" "Nope." "Do you know I can cause you profound, horrifying for all of eternity?" And he keeps asking him the same thing over and over again. "Are you still not afraid?" And he goes, "Why are you not afraid of me?" And the man goes, "Because I've been married to your sister for 48 years. You see? He's not afraid of the devil. He's been married. He knows all about it.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's your Western Mass News First Alert Forecast.
6:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. It is official. We're getting a brand new courthouse. State officials voted Tuesday to approve plans for a new Roderick Island courthouse. After years of complaints, the courthouse has been linked to serious health concerns. 5 courthouse employees have died of ALS, and 60 more have developed cancer. But I really, with all the people, we can't really prove that it's coming from that building.
No, but even if you couldn't prove it, it sounds like it's the most unluckiest building in America.
But it's the amount of denial, though, over the years from these state officials because they don't want to spend the money to build a safer place to work.
Yeah.
Well, we can't really prove that all came from there.
Yeah, I got a bucket of kills I should deal to get rid of all that black mold that's been developing for the last 60 years. I've done it in a half an hour.
Well, the process for constructing a new courthouse will include bidding from developers to work on the project. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. There was that one guy who was concerned, the inspector general, who was concerned that the bidding process would be tainted. But even the tainted bidding process is still better than whatever the hell you're breathing in at the Roderick Island Courthouse.
You got a tainted building that needs to be demolished and rebuilt.
The city of Springfield will then lease the building from the developer for at least 40 years. Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno is pushing for the courthouse to be located in the North Riverfront area. So I don't know where exactly on the North Riverfront area.
So by the riverfront.
North End.
North End.
Yeah. So what, like up by the Bassett Boat Company?
Or are they talking about like off of Wasson, by the
it could be.
By like the all those extra Bay State buildings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sarno said in a statement to 22 News, I appreciate and thank the board for their vote, and I'm glad the process to build a new state-of-the-art Roderick Island courthouse is moving forward.
Will he be demolishing the building with his bare hands?
It's going to be called the Dum Dum Italiano Courthouse. Forget these Irishmen that come in here.
I don't know Roderick Ireland, very much. I don't know much about his history.
Well, but from what I know, he was a well-respected justice.
I'm sure that's the case. But I would also imagine that if he knew what had happened to the building they named after him, he'd probably be rolling in his grave.
Yeah, that's like one of those things. Do you want a building named after you?
That's got that so many people sick.
Yeah, I don't
think so.
What are they naming the old Mingles? I mean, that place is still sitting vacant.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
The last 4 years or so. The Luella Stankus Mingles building.
She would have wanted it that way.
Yeah. We still have the dried fruit on the floor from the Long Island Hep C's. You know what? Of all the diseases going around that building, that was still safer than the Roderick Island Courthouse. A victim who was shot several times inside an apartment on Trope.
It's the only place in America that had a Valtrex vending machine in it.
I love that. I would pop those like they were Pez candies. They used to have a Pez dispenser that would push out the Valtrex pills.
I need extra Valtrex and a hefty bag.
A victim who was shot several times inside of an apartment on Trobe Avenue in Chicopee fired back at the suspect last Friday. On Wednesday afternoon, the Chicopee police released an additional information after a portion of Trobe Avenue was closed for several hours for an investigation. At around 9:21 p.m. on Friday, a woman called 911 to say that someone had entered her apartment and shot her son. The victim was taken to the hospital to be treated for several gunshot wounds. During the investigation, it was revealed that the victim, who is a licensed gun owner, returned fire with his registered firearm. Police said this was an isolated incident and there was no public threat. The Chicopee Police Department, along with the Mass State Police, continued to investigate, and they did not say whether anyone has been arrested at this time. Hey, you gotta fight back sometimes.
You gotta be careful, though.
You do have to be careful, but kind of like an F around and find out kind of situation.
It's true.
Breaking into a... Well,
22 is showing a news story of that thrift stop you were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there it is.
There's some...
the sushi thrift.
There's some customers right there looking at like old underpants and stuff.
I think I'm probably on there because the camera was in the room.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see if I made it on TV.
Well, let's check that out.
Of her husband and 5 children.
Oh, that's the end of the story.
Oh, that's
too
the end.
bad.
Well, I can't rewind it because we can't afford to get that DVR thing anymore. It's not in the budget this year. And it hasn't been for the last 6 years.
We still got the box, though.
Yeah, we still do. AAA has seen a recent uptick in calls for dead batteries due to the cold weather, along with other vehicle needs. It's been a very busy morning, even though right now we still have well over 35 calls actively working our system. Remember I was saying how, they come out right away. Well, you're probably going to have to wait if you're in the dangerously cold temperatures.
Oh, well.
That's according to Stephen Gonneville, general manager of Interstate Towing, as they entered day 2. The first day of a 2 to 3 day stretch of extremely cold temperatures, road service companies such as Interstate Towing and Chicopee said they're seeing an uptick in calls related to dead car batteries. The calls just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, one after another. It's very hard to keep up. According to AAA, at 32 degrees, vehicle batteries lose 30% of their power. At 0 degrees, they can drain 60% of the power. So you need that extra amp crankage to get the car over the threshold.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that the number would be that high. That's kind of a shocking number.
However, drained batteries are not the only things to be on the lookout for. AAA suggests that the drivers check the conditions of your tires, replace worn wiper blades, and keep an emergency kit in your vehicle. Yes, make sure you have rum to keep you warm.
That's because that's the only way to do it.
Because you're going to need it to calm the shock of how much it's going to cost to get your tires replaced when you bring it.
Yeah, that's not a quote you want to listen to sober.
When it comes to electric vehicles, AAA said to park your vehicle in a garage if possible, ensure the tires are at the right pressure, and use heat efficiently. Yeah, but the thing with an electric, if the thing goes on fire, then it burns your garage down. And you can't put that out pretty easily. We've seen that with the buses over in Wilbraham the other day.
That's correct.
I don't know. A puppy is recovering after police say he was abandoned and spent days inside a porta potty at a Michigan park. Police say a puppy, who is being called Hank, was abandoned more than 2 days inside of a portable toilet at Creasy Bicentennial Park in Grand Blanc.
Well, they should have called him Stank, not Hank.
Stanky. Yeah, police started an investigation after receiving reports from the township's Parks and Recreation team. Chief of Police William Rainey said Stanky was found by a Good Samaritan, an employee of one of the companies that services the porta potty. Well, he probably tried to suck it out, and then something was lodged in there, God. And you gotta.
Was the puppy inside or like around the opening?
Hank was freezing cold. Feces, dog feces, thread throughout the porta potty. The dog didn't know how to use the porta potty.
Well, you got to train a dog, and you know how dogs are usually so snack driven or toy driven.
It was mostly pet.
Jesus, that's awful.
There was no water for Hank, just a small bowl of food. What kind of sick bastard would do that?
Well,
you leave a bowl of food for the dog, but you can't find a shelter to give the dog to.
I mean, I was going to ask, is it possible the dog could have just, waited in line, walked in there when the previous dog or whatever was finished?
Yeah, and then
just couldn't get out?
Yeah, probably.
Because the Occupado lock was engaged?
Well, they did find somebody who was responsible. A 25-year-old woman was arrested for the incident and is now facing charges. According to police, she said her landlord wouldn't accept a pit bull breed. She didn't know what to do with Hank, so she allegedly left him inside the porta potty.
How about a shelter?
I was going to say, there's, we deal with the T.J. O'Connor Center. Pat Kelly had a nice little, did you see that video? Nice little pit bull in the studio yesterday. I know. There's places to go to if you can't get the pet, whatever, you can bring it to a shelter.
And I got news for you. Sometimes a dog that's been put in a situation where they weren't treated real well,
Yeah.
And you think, well, it's gonna be a problem when I bring him home. My dog was in a tough situation before my wife adopted him.
Yeah.
He's been like the best dog ever because he's just happy and living his life.
Yeah.
But would you leave a dog like that, in a porta potty with nothing to do but sit there in his own filth? No, what a horrible thing to do to a dog.
I have a friend who...
I don't like being in a porta potty for 5 minutes just to do my business for what I'm there for.
Rescued a dog for years ago from TJO.
Yeah.
The dog was... they were tied to railroad tracks.
Oh, my God.
Like, there are better ways to free yourself of taking the responsibility of taking care of a pet. There are shelters out there, and luckily somebody found this litter of puppies that was tied to railroad tracks. But what kind of sick bastard?
I mean, you got TJO, you got Dakin. There's places to go.
I guess if you're a sick enough bastard to do something like that, you're really not in your.
No,
you really have no soul to bring it to
have
a shelter.
that kind of lack of humanity, to be that cruel. That to me, that's a mental illness happening there.
And on that happy note, your Pioneer Valley forecast today.
I'm just walking away from this newscast all pissed off and angry.
Oh, do you want to have something fun?
No, I mean we can wait for that, but I'm just
we don't have to wait for it. I mean, I can do something to kind of lift your spirits.
Could you?
Yeah. If you've got an old iPhone with TikTok on it, you might want to toss it up on eBay. Of course, they signed the order this week delaying the TikTok ban for 75 days.
Yeah.
But legal experts aren't sure what could happen if this whole thing goes awry. So they'd potentially be on the hook for billions of dollars. So Apple and Google aren't risking it. As of this morning, it still wasn't on their app stores. You can't get the app. But if you have a phone with the app on it, you could sell it on eBay. Crazy amounts. $25,000 they're going for.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you... When you're done with the phone, you're trading it in. Don't you kind of clear out the phone?
I don't know. I got a couple of phones at home that I've transferred over the years that still have the original apps on it. Not one with TikTok.
I mean, I just got a new phone. I cleared that sucker out and traded it in.
Is that what you did?
That's what I did.
All right.
Got a full $80 for it.
Yeah, well, you could get $25,000 for it if it had the TikTok app on it.
Now I'm kicking myself in the pants.
One person posted their iPhone 15 Pro. Yeah, iPhone 15 for $5 million.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what? For all the things we've seen people buy, I was talking last week about there's a Dave Matthews, it's a festival, a concert festival that's happening on a weekend in Boston sometime this year. Like, financing as low as whatever. And I'm like,
for a concert?
A Dave Matthews concert.
Even worse.
Financing a Dave Matthews concert?
It's like financing disappointment.
But people buy this crap. So, I mean, I don't really, the seller, I can't blame for 1 second, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that would be like, I'd like that piece of nostalgia.
Please.
Remember when that TikTok app was on that phone?
Those were the days.
Because there's some douchebag out there with an unlimited amount of money that would spend $5 million on a phone. None of the listings had any bids just yet, but can't hurt to try, can it? Your Pioneer Valley forecast today. See, wasn't that a happier story?
It was a much better story.
Sunny with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It's 8 degrees in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
This just in.
Bourbon, Barbecue, and Blues is sold out.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:53. And the Rolling Stones of Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Going to be sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It is 8 degrees in downtown Springfield.
Congratulations to Debbie Fletcher, West Suffield, won herself an Amazon Echo Pop yesterday by listening to the Rock 102 morning show. That's me and you. We're giving out different code words every day, every weekday morning at 7:50. You got your chance to win by just going to rock102.com, entering that code word every day before noon for your chance to win. It's so simple. Any dope can do it. It's code word Alexa, your chance to win an Echo Pop from Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
Would you carry Velveeta around in your pocket?
Not in my pocket.
To eat later on?
No, not in my pocket.
Some people carry hot sauce with them wherever they go. Some people bring Sweet and Lows with them. wherever they go.
That's you.
Yes. I was trying to make it like, who would do that?
Yeah, well, that's you.
But now you can carry Velveeta with you, holstered up and ready to squeeze onto your lunch. Velveeta just announced a new product called Vel to Go, which are single-serve packets of Velveeta. Technically, it's not cheese. It's a cheese product. They say they came up with the idea because 1 in 4 millennials and Gen Zers bring their own condiments with them wherever possible, and there's a lack of convenient cheese condiments. You can purchase Vel to Go at Walmart.com for $5.91. That includes 3 cartons with 4 packets in each one. If you're interested, you should get them because they're only available for a limited time.
Well, I got to tell you, there are times when I am in an emergency cheese situation where there's no cheese anywhere. And even though, Velveeta would not be my normal go-to in the cheese world,
yeah,
in a pinch, it's a good solution.
I bet you the people of 1925 thought we'd have flying cars and, computers that would cure cancer and all this other stuff. But nice job, humanity. We've got portable Velveeta.
I have traveled the world, and many times I thought, I got the 3-ounce bottles of like saline or shampoo. What I wouldn't do for some on-the-go cheese spread.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And I think this is
for emergency situations.
Quite the valuable innovation because if Velveeta needs to be refrigerated after opening. So you got these single-serve packets. If you were carrying around one of those big rectangular blocks, you'd have to eat it all at one sitting. You can't do that.
There are some people going to say this sounds really gross.
Yeah.
But you know what? Have you ever in your life, and I know the answer is yes, had like one of them, those cans of cheese?
Oh, yeah, like the saucy cheese?
Yeah. And just sprayed it right into your mouth. You ever do that?
Oh, you're talking about the aerosol can cheese.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're there's nothing else in the house to snack on. You see the can of cheese, just go.
Cheese whiz, right?
It's I forgot the exact name, but yeah, I mean it's like a cheese whiz type of product.
I don't like that stuff.
It's not about liking it. It's about being in a desperate situation for some sort of snack food in your system. Because if you're like, for those of us who sometimes find themselves in a cheese-deficient situation, in a pinch, it's a good solution.
I don't think I've ever been in a cheese-deficient situation.
Well, Steve,
so much. Maybe I've been in a situation, but never been in one so bad that I would resort to putting that can in my mouth. That stuff is so salty and disgusting.
And your point is?
Yeah, that's not something that you'd want.
There are millions of people in this country every day who live a cheese-resistant life.
Is that
and the only deficiency. It's a deficiency of cheese. And the only way to get beyond it is to incrementally introduce more cheese into your system. I find myself working myself up to quite a lot of cheese.
Why don't you just hook an IV up to the can and put it in your veins?
If medical science could develop that, I would be first in line.
I bet you could.
It's 6:57 at Rock 102.
Your Echo is ready.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Winter Storm Headquarters, before and after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, let's face it, we've all worked for a boss that sucks. I know I sure have, many times over. And we've all worked for employers that were no great shakes either, since they were the ones that hired those crappy bosses in the first place. In the real world, though, you can easily clear out your desk and quit. But in the world of contractual obligations, such as the NBA, for example, you can't just walk out the door without the imposing threat of a lawsuit for breaching that contract. That leaves a guy with only one real option, and that is to begin an intentional campaign of acting up. This is the current situation going on between the Miami Heat and guard Jimmy Butler. Yesterday, Jimmy Butler was suspended from the team for the next 2 games after missing a team flight to Milwaukee. This is now the second time that Jimmy Butler has been suspended from the team this season. In fact, his latest suspension came just days after he finished up a 7-game suspension for what was described as multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team. This includes coloring his hair and shoelaces to match the colors of teams he would like to be traded to, which includes Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, and Golden State. The issue stems from a disagreement over money, specifically a 2-year, $115 million extension. The Heat has not offered him that deal because of how many games he's missed since joining the team 6 years ago. Folks, I gotta tell you, as a contracted employee myself, I have to tell you that I am fully satisfied with my current employment situation. But in this case, while he may be acting like a spoiled little jerk, there is a part of me that fully understands the delicate situation that Jimmy Butler is facing. On one hand, his employer is a bunch of penny-pinching tightwads who are barely fulfilling their legal obligations. And on the other hand, Jimmy Butler realizes that the only way to get out of this situation is to act like an idiot. The more disruptive, the better, without fear of reprisals, because the only way for any of this to stop is to give him what he wants and trade him for somebody else. So in theory, Jimmy Butler is doing exactly what he can to get things done. And I think you have to respect the effort. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, some birds head south for the winter, while stubborn old birds like you and me tough it out. You need to go to Rocky's for a 40-pound bag of wild bird food, just $19. Fill your bird feeder and keep the others company all winter long. Thanks to Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
102, Springfield's classic rock. 7:10 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It is 8 degrees right now in downtown Springfield.
Got that code word Alexa coming up around 7:50 this morning. Do not miss out on that.
A couple of technology things here. There's a new app called People. It's set to launch on the iPhone soon, aiming to modernize the address book experience with important context. Developed by Andrew Theus, the app prompts users to provide context that will be helpful later on. Interested users can register for the public beta before the app's official release next week. The app's superpower lies in its ability to streamline contact management and provide a more efficient way to organize and access important information. I was watching this YouTube video about it. It basically gives you the ability to put notes in to remember people, who they are. I always have a problem, I can remember faces, but I have a really hard time remembering names, mostly from the marijuana. But for the most part, I can't remember people's names, which drives me nuts. How many times have you and I been standing out somewhere at an event? Like, what the hell was that guy's name? You know,
it happens more often than I care to lead on, and that's why I told you what I do. Like if my wife and I are out, and someone is talking to me, I cannot remember their name. What I do is I do this. You've met my wife, Jenny.
Yeah,
and then what they say is, "Oh, hi, I'm Bill."
Yeah, but sometimes they don't say it. They don't say who they are.
Yeah,
and then you're like, "Damn it, I forget. I still don't know that guy's name or that lady's name or whatever."
Well, what happens is, and sometimes she'll do this. If that person does not say their name, she'll say, "I'm sorry, what's your name again?"
Yeah.
So you got to have a little tag team type of situation.
Oh, so you got a whole system set up. So now that you've revealed that information, the next time you run into anybody who's listening to us right now will know your little game and go, "You didn't remember my name, did you?"
Well, I mean, I can't assume that everyone's listening to the show at the same time.
It rhymes with a female body part.
Mulva.
Celeste. Bovary. But yeah, I remember my mother back in the. My mother used to fall for those as seen on TV things.
Oh yeah.
You remember there was this old guy who looked kind of like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and he had this memory. It was like a memory book. Like you were supposed to remember.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the guy's name was, but he was always on TV hawking this, infomercial about how you can remember, and you can you don't even have to read an entire book. You can put everything to memory just by skimming and learning how to skim through pages and things like that. I think she spent $80 on the thing and never really put it to use.
Well, because she probably forgot where she put it.
Well, because my father would always tell her she suffered from CRS, which is can't remember shiznit, you know. He was quite the encouraging guy. You know?
He really was.
But yeah.
He might not have been sober, but he was sharp as a whip.
I wish I could come up with some kind of like scheme like that to fleece people out of money for a get-rich-quick scheme, because that's what this guy did.
Yeah.
He sold all of, and I remember there was like these binders that came. We had all that stuff. We had like Deal-A-Meal cards. We had the Whisperer 2000. Do you remember that?
What was that?
That was like it was like a hearing aid almost, but it was but it was basically like an amplifier. You put like headphones over your head, like cheap Walkman headphones, and then they had this thing where you could supposedly hear what the conversation was going on in the next room. But that was all drowned out by the snores of my dad, who was passed out from a half a bottle of Jim Beam and a 6-pack of Bud Heavies. But yeah, we had all that kind of stuff. And, now this conversation is shifting because now I'm remembering all these like funky things we used to get.
Right.
My sister, I went to visit her back at the end of last year, which was only 3 weeks ago. But I said walking around your house is like being in a finger hut. Remember a finger hut? They used to have all that quirky
sure.
stuff that you could buy. She's got all this stuff that like her husband is one of these guys that needs to buy all of these things.
Right. Wasn't there a store, I think it was in Northampton. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm trying to remember where it was. It was a store called As Seen on TV.
I think they still have those in the malls still.
Yeah.
Some of the malls.
It was all that stuff, like all those diamond studders and miracle choppers and all those things that were sold on TV. I mean, they don't really do that in the same way anymore. I mean, they still do, but there's a lot of stuff that back when Ron Popeil was doing the
set it and forget it.
Right. Those kinds of things.
I think that has transitioned to. I know if you're still lucky enough to be on TikTok,
right?
There are those ads for these items, the TikTok shop that they have, and that's basically that's the modern day version of all this stuff.
Sure,
it's junk. It's all junk, but it's people.
You're telling me the ShamWow was junk? You're telling me my reverse mortgage was junk?
Well, Tom Selleck didn't seem to think it was junk when he was hawking reverse mortgages. You think that's another thing. It's like, how believable is something just because like a guy like Tom Selleck was selling it?
Would Magnum PI steer you wrong?
Yes, he would, for the right amount of money. When you're in those Magnum PI retirement years, you're going to need to pay the bills somehow. So let's sell a bunch of suckers a reverse mortgage that you'll never own your house ever, kind of thing. But at least you get money up front.
And that's all that mattered.
But yeah, those TikTok videos are like, it's the modern day version of that. You've seen them before.
Of course.
Well, you can get this drill bit that does all kinds of things. It's like a ratchet set with one thing, and you can adjust it and all these other things. I don't buy that stuff.
No, of course not. But it does.
I just go to thrift shops and pick it up secondhand.
after the previous owner realizes it was junk to begin with.
Yeah, but why spend $19.95 for it when you can go buy it for $2 at Sushi's out in Westfield? And then try to haggle the guy for the thing. But have you ever bought anything that you ever got bought one of these gimmick?
No, I haven't. But I do know people that have, and I do know people that seriously regretted it when they bought it.
Yeah.
But I never really fell for it that I can remember.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, usually I buy like everything off of Amazon blind.
Yeah.
If I can get a better price for something on Amazon, I'm probably going to get it on Amazon because I'm a part of that cult.
About 6 years ago, I got suckered into buying one of these things off Facebook. It was the ad things, and it was it's basically a wire brush that goes on the end of your weed whacker. So you never have to use weed whacker line again, and because that's a big pain in the ass trying to replace that kind of thing. The thing didn't even. It was basically. It's funny how you can make something look so great
And have it be such garbage. Yeah.
And then you get it, and it's basically this chintzy piece of metal with a wire brush on it that had, and it said, fits any weed whacker head. No, it doesn't. No, it does not. It doesn't fix any fit any weed whacker head because it doesn't come with any of the parts to put it onto your weed whacker head.
You know, whenever I see something that looks like I need it, that looks like it could be really cool, that could change my life, I try to find some reviews on it, and I always try to not look at the good ones. I try to look at the ones in the middle or the ones in the low end to find out whether or not this is really as junky as it has the potential to be. And oftentimes I'm steered away from something based on not just one review, but a series of reviews that all say the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit on any of my weed whackers, or this the ShamWow doesn't pick up anything, or you have to do a little bit of research before you go ahead and invest in something that seems too good to be true.
This goes back. We've talked about this website before. thisiswhyimbroke.com. That's
right.
Kind of like a modern day finger hut. They show you ridiculous things that nobody would be able to afford. Like, what is this one on here? It's an Airstream. Well, I'm sure somebody would be able. It's $110,000. The Airstream Flying Cloud Midnight Flamingo Camper elevates adventure with a sleek black design, solar-powered batteries, and all this other stuff. But they also have, for $9.99, a child chucker.
A child chucker.
Confuse and delight the witty Yeti child chucker prank box. This fake baby launcher packaging turns gift giving into comedy gold, and it looks like a baby flying off
that's great.
Like a thing. Images you should not pleasure yourself to. Now that's a book that I could use. It's only $15. Drown out your sexually deviant thoughts in a matter of seconds with the images you should not pleasure yourself to. Jam-packed with 80 pages of boner-subsiding pictures, the unusual book is a clean and wholesome way to pass the time. Chapter 1, Rosie O'Donnell.
Nothing like a little aversion therapy.
Yeah, and here's a chicken tender slut shirt for $904.
See, those are good things.
See, if I only had the money to do all this, my house would be full of these things.
Hey, listen, you got a Kenny Rogers Roasters sign on your barn.
That thing is beautiful.
It's a breathtaking, but never because of the light up motion light.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of getting dim because of the cold weather.
Oh yeah.
So like if an animal walks in front of it or something, it just kind of like slowly dims. But wait till summertime. That thing will be burning out your rods and cones.
It's 7:21 at Rock 102.
Springworks.
7:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Big Y. The big game is coming, and you know what that means. It's time for a party. Big Y, big game, nicely done. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but rock legend Billy Idol is going to make a stop in Massachusetts. Were we just talking about this the other day?
Billy Idol?
Yeah. We were talking about Billy Idol. Oh, you know why? Because of the idling law in Massachusetts.
Yeah, right.
Well, I guess maybe he's only good for 5 minutes, and then he'll be ticketed and fined.
That's right. And we were making fun of Eyes Without a Face.
Yeah. Well, that's when you get in an accident after.
That's correct.
After
yes.
idling your car for too long. Yeah, rock legend Billy Idol will make a stop in Massachusetts as part of his upcoming tour. He will embark on It's a Nice Day to Tour Again tour.
Oh, my God. That's
along with
so
fellow rock icon Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, starting in Phoenix on April 30th.
Now, when you say Massachusetts, are you saying locally in Massachusetts, or does anyone have to drive 100 miles to go see it?
Let's see, Saratoga, Mansfield. Yeah,
Mansfield.
You got to go to Mansfield.
Right. Okay.
It's not even until August 23rd.
Well, I better put that on the calendar right away.
I think you should. I think you absolutely should.
Okay, I will.
Don't you
write
want
it.
more?
No, I'm all set, actually, but that'll be a great show for people that care.
Hey, there's some Billy Idol fans out there.
There's lots of Billy Idol fans out there. And I can't say I'm not a fan. I like Joan Jett, too, but it's a long distance to drive for a ticket that's going to be probably way over my limit.
Way over your limit, but well worth the price.
I don't know, Steve.
Yeah, Billy Idol and Joan Jett. on a hot day in August.
I know, but see, I like to keep tabs on my Moni, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I when I went to Mansfield a couple of years ago, that was the first time I ever been there.
Yes.
I would not want to be living in that neighborhood that's around that area. Like
those people, I grew up like 2 towns over.
Mm-hmm.
Those people have lived across the street and next door to that place for the last 35 years.
You got to really have a high tolerance for noise and
traffic,
debauchery too. With all those people throwing trash everywhere after a concert from all the tailgaters and the pre-gamers and.
I've seen my shows over there, my share of shows, and I've always wondered the same things. Like, would you really want to live next door to this?
No,
because it's largely residential around it, not like not necessarily on that street per chance, but there's a lot of next door neighbors.
It must be because the taxes must be cheaper there. I mean,
maybe
considering the noise and the traffic that you have to deal with every single season.
On the other hand, if you're living next door, you're going to free concerts every single night.
Why is the phone keep ringing?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
I gotta reach all the way over there. Rock 102. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Eric.
What's up, Eric?
I'm talking to you through my Burger King speakerphone.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Great.
I want to talk to you about Billy Idol.
Yes, go right ahead. You're on the air right now. In fact.
I got yelled at yesterday for letting my truck idle for too long, because I drive tractor trailer or whatever, And don't you know it's 7 below zero? I don't care if I let the truck idle.
Yeah, well, that's a big complaint.
Yeah, that's got to do what you got to do. Got to stay warm.
Moaning.
That's
all
right. Okay.
All
hey,
right.
listen, you have a great day. Thanks for the call.
Hey, thanks for
that.
It's the Rock 102 complaint line.
Open line Friday coming up tomorrow here on Rock 102. Brought to you by Linton Septic.
Oh, look, there's another one calling.
Oh, good. Yeah. Rock 102. Good morning. Who's this?
It's Lee in Hartford. How you doing?
Good. What's going on?
Just wondering if you guys have a favorite ice fishing spot. And I'm going to hang up and listen to your response on my credenza. And have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I do not have a favorite ice fishing spot.
There are certain things in this world that you will never catch me doing, and one of them is going out in frigid temperatures to try to catch a fish.
And using an auger to bore a hole into the water.
Listen,
I'll never do that again.
You want to get some fish, you go to your local Big Y and pick up. They have that fish. They even fry it for you.
I know.
They even fry it for you in the back there. You don't even have to. You don't even have to go out onto an ice with an auger and a bottle of whiskey.
You don't have to tell me, Steve. That fish fry is absolutely delicious at Big Y World Class Markets.
I'm always amazed by people who are so into an activity that they will, fishing. Yeah, fishing's relaxing.
Yeah,
you could go sit on a nice spring day on a shore somewhere and cast out your line, maybe catch some trout or what have you.
Right.
But to go out on the ice, like how much of an alcoholic are you that you need an excuse to get away from your family for the day and also drink copious amounts of whiskey to keep you, quote, warm, unquote, to try to catch a fish in negative temperatures.
Yeah, I know quite a few people that are very into it, and they have tried to convince me to join them in this, and I've never been interested in doing it at all. But some of these guys that do it, some of the ones that are real serious, have these fishing shacks that go on the water. They just, they push the shack in the middle of the lake.
I haven't seen that around here.
Not around here, but other parts of the country where they get like around the Great Lakes, where it gets wicked cold and all that stuff. They do that, and these fishing shacks are heated.
Yeah.
They've got electricity. There's usually a generator. It's basically like fishing in your living room.
But you have to have the ice so thick and frozen in order to do that.
Oh, yeah.
We still haven't had enough period of time where you'd be able to, put a shack on a pond or a lake around here.
Yeah. See, around here, because it hasn't been cold enough, the only place to really go ice fishing is in the frozen fish department at your local Big Y world-class markets.
That's exactly what I just said.
Exactly.
That you can get fish anywhere. As a matter of fact, 7B's out in Westfield has the fish fry on the weekends.
Sure, it's delicious.
Fresh haddock.
Now, is that fresh ever frozen?
No, they don't have any frozen. There's no freezer or microwave. Have you not listened to anything I've ever said about 7B's? No freezer or microwave. Just Chef Jeff and his fresh hands. Cooking up daily delicious food specials each and every day.
I like hearing that.
Yeah, but there's plenty of places to get fish without having to go out onto a frozen lake or pond in sub-zero temperatures.
To me, it's just insanity. But I've seen what these shacks look like, and they're beautiful. You could actually live. You would almost feel good enough to live in it. Like they got, some guys have like a little bunk for them to sit on or sleep on, waiting for a bite.
They're called shanties, by the way.
Whatever.
The shacks on the lake.
Some people call them a shanty, but other people call them a fishing shack.
My dad used to take us to the Lobster Shanty in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
How was that?
It was a pretty good seafood restaurant.
As good as, say, like a Red Lobster?
I don't know. It was a plate. They had 2-for-1 martinis. That was the only reason why he went there. It could have been all I used to get was the chicken fingers anyway. So
right.
I really didn't. I wasn't like. I was a kid. I wasn't eating. I just remember getting a Shirley Temple and my dad getting 2 Beefeater gin martinis on the rock with an olive.
And all of that rich lobster sitting in his gut.
Yeah.
Just waiting to move.
Yeah. You know what lobster and gin does to a bowel system? It's something you really don't want to witness or hear from the other room.
If you've ever experienced that, you know that Steve is absolutely right about this.
Yeah, listen.
It's a terrible combination.
Who hasn't been there? That has had drinks before.
Drinks and mollusk.
Speaking of food, this is one way to ruin a bride and groom's big day. Some wedding guests recently started beefing while in line for some prime rib.
Mm-hmm.
A 52-year-old man named Mark Rohrer was at a wedding at a country club in Florida last Sunday and was waiting in line for some delicious prime rib. And a man in front of him allowed his younger daughter and another girl to join him in the line. And that made Mark furious because they were cutting in. It was the chat and cut.
Oh,
they did the chat and cut.
I've seen that happen.
Mark started shouting at the other man who ignored him, but he didn't stop there. He walked over to the man and hit him on the head with a plate. The plate shattered, and that started a scuffle with multiple guests. Someone called the police, and Mark was arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Here's the amusing part, though. In a police report, one witness confirmed they saw, quote, the large, bald man strike the slimmer man on the head with a plate.
Okay.
And for the record, this was a dry wedding. So they're saying he wasn't drunk, but that doesn't mean he wasn't drunk.
No, they just weren't serving alcohol there.
Right.
But you could certainly pregame in the parking lot.
I guess he was really excited about the prime rib, though.
Prime rib can be delicious.
Yeah, but so much delicious, so much to the point where you feel like you're getting screwed out of a piece by a kid that you have to assault the father of the child.
Well, it would have to be some really good prime rib.
I've never gotten that angry over a food line.
No, either have I. But then again, I don't drink as much as I used to. So
well, maybe you should start.
I'm not going to do that, but it's hard to imagine me just, getting right back into it and swinging fists because I can't get the chicken française has been soaking in that gluey, gelatinous ooze for the last 45 minutes.
I'm sure this is a guy who probably mixes his own drinks out in his trunk of his car. I saw some people do that.
Yeah.
At the, I think it was years ago, at the Collegiate Court over in Chicopee. I kept wondering why these people kept going outside to their car, and they were coming back with, they were coming. I asked the daughter of the people. I said, "Why do your parents keep going out to the car?" And she said, because they're mixing their own drinks because they feel that the alcohol is too expensive in a restaurant. And it wasn't just that restaurant. They must do that all the time. I mean, it's an efficient way to save money, I guess, but it's also illegal. Like, you're not supposed to do that. And it's like, how do you justify like getting pulled over? If somebody pulls you, you get pulled over, and they're gonna want to search your car if you've had a couple of drinks in you,
right?
And then they open up the car, and you got a mobile bar in the back of the trunk.
With everything in a decanter,
yeah,
and crystal glasses.
Yeah. Well, who's the bartender? I am. I'm the one. I was doling drinks out of the trunk of my Chevelle.
Can I help any of you officers with a highball?
Yeah, it's seemingly a dangerous thing to do because you're overpouring for yourself. I'm sure you're not going to pour the drink that you're not going to get.
You're not going to teetotal just because.
You pour a Steve Nagle drink, with the 3/4 of the way filled with vodka and a little Sprite for color.
3/4? What do you go on a light pour all of a sudden?
Well,
the Steve Nagle cocktail is a full glass of alcohol with a splash of something.
But yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You put the little splash of Sprite in there for color. You can't just drink that whole thing just raw by itself. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be sunny with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It is 12 in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102.
Pioneer Valley Arms has plenty of pre-gun law firearms that are still legal to sell. And with legislation...
And Guns N' Roses with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be mostly sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 29. It is 12 right now in downtown Springfield.
Now, yesterday, we gave you the code word for the Amazon Echo Pop, code word Alexa. And yesterday, Debbie Fletcher, West Suffield, followed instructions and winds up winning an Amazon Echo Pop all by herself.
Good job, Debbie.
Nice job, Debbie. Thanks for following along and listening intently to what I'm about to tell everybody else. I'm going to give you the code word here, and then it will be your job to take that code word, go to rock102.com, go to the area of the Rock 102 website that says win an Amazon Echo Pop, and then put in that code word spelled correctly. Okay? It's really very simple. And then later on today, we will announce today's winner. Okay? See how this is all going to go?
I see how this whole thing works.
I know
this is
you.
Very elaborate contest.
Actually, it's very simple, Steve. And I know you get it because you've been a part of this for a long time. But there are some people listening to the very first time who have never heard this kind of contest before and are baffled by its complexity.
We're giving away spy listening devices for your home.
That will simplify and also confuse your life. But I'm telling you right now, it's super simple. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you the code word now. And then you know what to do after that. Today's code word, Steve, is the word speaker.
Speaker.
S-P-E-A-K-E-R.
Can't even spell the word right.
But I'm not qualified to win, so spelling doesn't count for me. But for the rest of you, S-P-E-A-K-E-R. And that's the word. Now let me use it in a sentence. Today's word is speaker. Good luck to you on Rock 102.
You, sir, are much of a D-U-S-H.
A douche?
A douche.
Oh, okay. That's actually, isn't that a C-H-E?
Something like that.
There you go. We get two idiots here. We're all working on the same level. Anyway, so good luck to you at Amazon Echo Pop, rock102.com before noon from Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
Well, aren't you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to that.
When was the last time you had pizza?
Not that long ago. I'd say within the last week or so, week and a half.
Do you order the same thing almost all the time?
Yeah, usually.
When was the last time you changed up your pizza order?
We went wild about a month and a half ago with an extra topping that we don't typically order.
What?
Onions. We don't typically order onions. And it wasn't a crazy thing. It's usually like
kind of a normal thing for some people.
Usually like it's pepperoni, and then my wife said, put some onions on that thing.
Was it like sliced onion and like sliced
very thin? We went to Red Rose, had a very thin sliced onion on top of it. It was delicious.
Well, and this is nothing against Red Rose. I'm just not a fan of the onion the way it's baked into the pizza. I'd rather have like chopped onion versus the sliced onion because the onion gets like too burnt on there.
See, I like it. It caramelizes. It makes it more delicious.
And I still have kids, so like living with me. So my it's always pepperoni or cheese. It's a very bland type of choice.
Mhm.
But you live with what you live with. You know what I mean? You have to. You can't because it's too expensive to if I just because I wanted sausage or whatever else on it, it's gonna go to waste. And I'm buying. Well, I mean, it won't go to waste. I'll probably eat the whole thing, but I'm not gonna spend.
Well, couldn't you do like half pepperoni and sausage and half cheese? I mean, they'll do that.
I guess you could do that.
That's what I've done.
It's just a big pain in the butt. But anyway, this is a new survey out on pizza.
I wasn't ready for that.
Survey said.
We were never ready for these. Why would you be ready for this now?
I don't know.
There's a new poll out on pizza. It found that the average American hasn't changed their pizza order in 2 years, and 14% of people have been eating the exact same pizza for over 5 years. Midwesterners have a reputation for being the least experimental with the food, and that's true with the pizza, too. Of all 50 states, Michigan is the least likely to spice up the pizza order. And 11% of people say they've never tried a new pizza combination. That's more than any other state. I like going to, some of these, I've done these comedy shows at microbrews and things like that.
Sure.
And they always have, these artisan pizzas that are, garlic and chicken and stuff that you wouldn't typically find in a regular pizza shop. But 57% of Americans say they're open to trying new pizza combinations, but just don't know where to start. How about picking different toppings?
How about looking at the menu to see what they offer?
So the other boring options that people are repeatedly ordering, in 20 states, the preferred order is regular old pepperoni. In 18 states, it's the meat lover's pizza. In 8 states, it's a supreme pizza. In 2 states, it's a supreme and pepperoni. Well, what is a supreme pizza? I thought pepperoni would be part of a supreme.
I don't know. See, it depends where you're from, because like a supreme and a combo can be any number of things.
Yeah. Massachusetts is the only state that's off the beaten path with a preference for veggie pizza.
Get out of here, please.
I guess so. At least no one's number one.
Like no meat and just veggies?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
At least no one's number one is cheese pizza. Just cheese.
It's a little dull. It's not adventuresome at all.
Here's one easy tweak you can do. Add something a little spicy. 49% of people say that makes pizza taste a lot better. That can be peppers, like hot ones, red pepper flakes, or spicier dressing for a dipping sauce. Do you use a dipping sauce with your pizza?
I find no, I don't. I do not dip. I've dipped it, but I've not. It's not my preference.
When I was in college and we used to order Domino's, we used to get that garlic butter stuff.
Oh yeah,
and then we just because when you're drunk at 2:00 in the morning, you really don't care what you're putting in your body.
No, you really don't.
Hey, you get the Domino's and you dip that into that butter and you're slopping down your shirt.
Because you don't care about that either.
It tastes like Captain Morgan and and Domino's. I miss the smells of my youth.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
A smell can always bring. Every time I drive by a Domino's next to a liquor store, I go, the smells of a dorm room.
I always appreciated when someone would come into the room for the first time and say, "What the hell is that?"
Well, yeah,
this is the way. This is us living.
Well, it's like a smoker doesn't realize he smells like smoke.
Right.
Cigarettes. You don't realize you smell like Domino's and shame and body odor and everything else that goes.
You don't realize that those pizza boxes you haven't thrown away in months.
Yeah.
With the crusts still in them. At some point do tend to smell.
I would never be able to live with somebody again. Like in that kind of concept. Like a dorm room type of thing. Like that was okay when I was 20.
Yeah.
But not now. Like, I would never be able to do that now.
See, I had so much fun back then, and my roommate, for my first couple of years in college, we were like completely in sync.
Yeah.
As far as how we were willing to live in absolute filth.
And stank.
We didn't care. We gave up on life, and we had fun.
Yeah.
And that's what it was all about.
Same with me, and I still talk to my college roommate, and we agreed that there would be no way we would ever be able to. Now, having lived lives and gone out in the world, raised families, there would never be able to way we would go back to that. The more you know.
It's 7:59 to Rock 102.
The Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Winter Storm Headquarters, before and after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I think we can all agree that the social medias are a toxic cesspool of bad ideas, snap judgments, misunderstandings, and gross overreactions. You know, just like regular face-to-face interaction, but with far more social distancing built right in. Unfortunately, we tend to take what we read online and make quick assumptions without any true regard as to who said what, where, and towards whom. The NFL is no different, since they have now found themselves in a situation where they've begun fining players for things they didn't say or do. This week, the NFL slapped Texas running back Joe Mixon with a $25,000 fine after he allegedly criticized the officiating during the AFC divisional playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The quote in question was this: "Why play the game if every 50-50 call goes to the Chiefs? These officials are trash and biased." Now here's the problem. That quote never came from Joe Mixon. It came from Cincinnati wide receiver TJ Houshmandzadeh. That quote, which was originally posted on X, was then misattributed to Mixon by Sports Illustrated, which the NFL sees as a more credible source. Mixon, rightfully so, appealed the fine. He then went on his own X account and made the following statement, quote, "Everybody knows how it is playing up here. You can never leave it in the ref's hands. The whole world sees it what it is." This then came one day after Mixon offered another quote saying, quote, "I'm getting fined by the NFL for something that somebody else said. What's next? I'm going to get fined by them for a Connor McDavid cross-checking an opponent during an NHL hockey game?" Well, you see, these are all very good points, of course. Unfortunately, because of his critical point of view, the NFL is reissuing that fine against Joe Mixon for these critical statements. Apparently, it's a violation to be critical of league decisions after a league decision has been made about things you didn't do. That is until you actually do them, at which point you're then susceptible to a $25,000 fine. Now, either the NFL desperately needs $25,000, or you have a couple of football players saying stuff that everybody in America is saying about your lousy one-sided officiating. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, I'm looking at the deals this month at Rocky's. The bird food, the storage totes, the hand tools. I'm looking at the printed flyer. You can pick one up at any Rocky's store or see the sales flyer online at Rockies.com. What's on sale at Rocky's? It's always at your fingertips at Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 8:13 and Billy Squire with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Going to be sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It's cloudy right now with a high of, it's just 12. It's not the high, but it's higher than it was yesterday at this time.
It's true. It is a Thunderbird Thursday because we were doing the code word Alexa thing last hour. Your chance to win those tickets for Thunderbird Thursday for Saturday's game against Providence coming up later on this hour.
You know, do you like your coffee with the have the soul of a landfill and the taste of despair?
No, I actually like my coffee to be like a warm hug sliding down the back of my throat, like angels are relieving themselves in my body.
Oh, so you don't own a Keurig?
Actually, I do, but I don't really use it that much. Like, my wife doesn't drink a lot of coffee, but occasionally likes like a single cup. So she'll use the Keurig. I brew a half a pot every day.
Well, I do the same thing. Especially as of late, I've been, ever since I got this beautiful Yeti container from Mike Ostrowski over at our credit union. Mm-hmm. It keeps it nice and hot. So I can make the coffee in the morning and then pour it in there, and once in a while I'll stop at the Cumbies maybe and pick up a coffee. But for the most part, I've been brewing it at home. I like brewing my own coffee, and in order to increase morale around this building, first of all, I've already started as being the cake czar, where we now have delicious, other than just regular plain old grocery store cake from a bakery. We go to La Fiorentina now, and people get to pick out the cake that they want.
Which is a great choice, and in the last 2 months that we've done it,
it's
turned out terrific. Everyone's feeling better about working here.
Well, you've already missed one.
I had other things to do.
I know. You had to go see a friend over at the very place we got the cake from.
Well, yes, there was that.
But we're supposed to be getting like a new building here
at some point.
Well, I mean, it was promised that ground would be broken in the spring for a brand new building.
We were also promised that there were big problems with Y2K, and that never happened either.
Okay, but nevertheless, we're working on the morale building around. That's what it's going to be called, the
morale building.
Yeah. I think that would be a great name for it.
I like that.
It's called the morale building.
I love
it. No more mold, no more smell of dead rodents, no more whatever we got going on down here.
Perfect.
Or urine in the studio from Pat Kelly's Pet of the Week, which smells like that right now. Hopefully we're
not convinced that it isn't Pat Kelly himself.
We want DuPont carpets. That's what we want.
With this whole place Scotch guarded.
But we have this. We used to have a service, like a coffee service that had those bun coffee makers.
Yeah.
One of those things that would make the pot of coffee in like 2 minutes.
Right.
You just pour the water in the top, and it would come out in the pot, nice, fresh, and hot, like you're in a restaurant.
Yeah, but it wasn't great coffee. Like the coffee itself was not great. I think we took the lower tier service.
I don't think the coffee company even exists anymore.
I don't believe it do.
I think that's what it was. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but it was. I don't think I haven't seen anything that reminds me of it lately. But we need a regular coffee pot around here. And then I was saying to you, I was like, we should get I'm just going to bring in, because they're cheap enough. You can go buy Mr. Coffee for $20 at a CVS or something like that. Maybe even get a nod or two from some hot ladies and walking around the Westfield store.
Yes.
But we have this Keurig machine, and it's such a waste. It's such a waste of, I mean, so much. It's plastic. It's microplastics that you're putting in. It's just more of that stuff you're putting into your body.
Have you ever noticed, because I've noticed this, and I mean this totally sincere, that every K-Cup, no matter what brand, no matter what flavor, tastes like a K-Cup?
It's disgusting. It's not even good coffee.
No, and if you're not cleaning that thing on the regular, it gets nasty.
Yeah,
like the inside of it, where you put the cup inside, and that little needle thing that pokes through, it can get gross.
Here's the thing, though. There's nothing but a bunch of dudes that we were figuring. Let's put this down in the studio. Now I was like, well, I want cream, though, because I like cream with my coffee.
Yeah.
We don't have any refrigeration down here, but you suggested there's a perfectly good mini fridge upstairs in the conference room that nobody's used, and I just looked at it. It's very clean, and it still works.
And nothing's in there, right?
There's nothing in there. Nobody has put anything in that
and it's been up there for years. No one's ever used it.
So why are we wasting the electricity with nothing in it? And then why not just bringing it down here? We can put it in the studio. We can make a little coffee bar right over here under the TV.
That's good. I was thinking more in the corner.
Well, okay, we can do that too.
When guests come, we can offer them coffee and say, "Would you want a cup of coffee? Have a cup of coffee. We'll all have a cup of coffee. Well, you have a cup of coffee, right. And then we'll have a little table and like a corner table. Yeah. We'll brew a pot every day."
It'd be another morale-building thing around here, because you don't think Dan Williams wants a cup of Java between 10 and 3 to accompany his tuna fish sandwich made by Kim?
I'm sure he'd love a cup of coffee. But the thing about this is, and here's where the problem in morale tends to suffer. If someone in the sales department said, boy, we sure could use a coffee pot up here, you know what happens immediately? They get a coffee pot up there, and they use it for themselves. Everyone down here gets forgotten. You know, the backbone of this entire radio station, the spine of the entire business. Do we get a coffee machine down here?
No. That's why we need one.
We got to run up a whole flight of stairs, make a cup of coffee, and then run down a couple the flight of stairs, and hope to God we get back here before that Tom Petty song ends.
Yeah.
And you're talking like 2 minutes and 50 seconds to make a cup of coffee.
And now, as we were just talking earlier about college roommates, this is where it becomes a problem. Because there's no females that come down here to clean up after us. We have to do it ourselves.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah, can we hire somebody to come down here and clean up after us knuckle-dragging Neanderthals as we make our pots of coffee every morning?
We're going to have someone to clean the coffee pot.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's somebody we want to have Pat do.
Yeah, I think Pat would be the cleanup. He's the last guy in here in the studio.
There you go.
And Natalie doesn't want to do it.
we shouldn't rely on Natalie to do that stuff. But Pat,
she's not even here anyway. So.
Well, Pat is like the fourth person up at bat.
Yeah.
You could say he's batting cleanup.
Right. So he
should be cleaning up.
Right. Well, case in point, he can't even clean up after the pets he has in here visiting because it does smell like dog urine in here this morning.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Imagine how that smell would be overcome with the delicious smell of brewing coffee.
But listen, as the cake czar, I can also be a coffee czar too. We could turn this into a morale building a studio here rather than mom's basement as we've referred to it for many years now.
Now, if the sales department asked for this, they'd have a full-time barista up there.
Oh, I'm sure they
little
would.
fancy coffee drinks all day long.
Yeah. Of course, the barista would get confused because the managers change names so much around here that we wouldn't be able to. We'd need one of those memory books to remember who the person was that came up to the window.
Well, that would be part of the job description. You're getting to know new names.
Yeah. Venti iced coffee for David. For
Michael.
The other
for
David.
Scotty?
The other David. The Gary. Whatever it was. Yeah. You just can't remember names around here because they change so fast. But yeah, I'm thinking we should get a coffee pot down here, and listen, building morale, one pot of Java at a time.
It would be so easy and so delightful to be doing this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, let's say, for example, let's say we got a guest in the studio, and it's boring as hell, okay, and they're not really offering much of anything. In the middle of the interview, we could just say, hey, hold on a second, I got to go grab a cup of coffee. And who wouldn't be willing to wait like a half a second for me to pour a cup of coffee in the middle of a boring interview?
Right.
Nobody
would even know that you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you got some sort of charity yard sale you're doing? Hold on a second while I grab a cup of coffee. You just talk about your event. I go and grab a cup of coffee, put a little bit of cream in there, sit right back down. Oh, thanks for joining us. That's this Saturday at 12 o'clock.
Now, here's the thing. I ran out of my delicious coffee that I made at home by myself this morning.
I'm down to like one gulp left, and that's it.
And then now I just decided to go have a morning funeral by having a K-cup upstairs. It's It's not even good, but I want coffee, so I will kind of give in, if you will, to make this kind of thing. But
now, are you a whole bean guy, or you like it previously ground?
I like a whole bean.
We could get a coffee grinder here down here too.
I chop it up in my Vitamix. That's how I grind my coffee.
You could do that, but you could also get. They got those coffee makers where you could put the beans in it. And it grinds it right for you.
Yeah, how expensive are those? I'm not willing to spend.
How much you willing to invest for our own comfort and happiness?
Maybe $50.
All right, I'll chip in for that.
I think that would be a good thing to have down here.
I do too. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Probably separate the downstairs from the upstairs again, and we have the advantage because we have fresh coffee and they have that crappy K-cup stuff up there.
Now, are we? You and I chipping in for the coffee?
Yes, we are chipping in for the coffee.
I'm willing to invest in that. I don't want to rely on the company to do it because they're going to want to get us a lousy bag of coffee.
But as long as it's just for us, I don't want the vultures upstairs taking any of the coffee because that's what always happens. They all, look at the bagels that were delivered here last year. As soon as I brought them upstairs, I was like, caw, caw, caw. Seagulls coming flying out looking for the French fry. Yeah, mine.
They ripped through that cannoli cream cheese like it was nobody's business.
Oh, there's a spoonful left upstairs in the refrigerator, so thanks for not throwing it away or finishing it off. What a waste.
We're a very wasteful
But you know what? Cake czar to coffee czar. I think we can make this happen.
I'm happy to help.
Well, there you go.
I'll be happy to do whatever I can to make it an easy transition.
All right. Thanks for getting us through the last 24 minutes.
It's 8:24 on Rock 102. 27 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Hey, nobody likes our coffee conversation.
No, I don't really care. I mean, this is really not always about everybody else. It's really about us.
Well, you know what? It's that dead time of year where we don't have Scott Zolak on anymore to talk about football, so...
Well, listen, we got a complaint from one guy who doesn't like our coffee conversation.
Yeah.
But this is the same guy that a week ago was fat shaming me. So you think coffee conversation drives me you crazy? So does fat shaming drive me crazy. So think about that for a minute.
What drives you crazy about the coffee conversation? Listen, it's a very interesting thing. Listen, I bet you we have reached all the hearts of the coffee lovers out there.
You know, people in offices all around the country have similar conversations. How can we improve morale? What kind of coffee are you drinking? What do you take with your coffee? Yeah, those are the conversations that people in actual work environments have every single day. And we're not allowed to have the same conversation?
You know what? That's probably the guy that was at that thrift store I was at yesterday that was trying to haggle the owner for the $30 wet dry vac to the $20 dry vac, and the guy wouldn't budge. And he's like, well, this ain't a thrift store. But I bet you if meth was $30, you'd probably shell that out for a day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, the same kind of guy that would defriend you because you make too much fun of Tom Petty all day.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Well, hey, everybody's got their own thing around here.
We got news next on Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass News First Alert Forecast.
8:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Well, thanks, Bax.
You're welcome, Steve.
Going over to Chicopee this morning, a victim who was shot several times inside of an apartment on Trilby Avenue in Chicopee fired back at the suspect last Friday. On Wednesday afternoon, the Chicopee... Wait a minute. Fired back at the suspect last Friday. Oh, on Wednesday afternoon. This is when the police were telling. I thought it was saying, it was referencing on Wednesday he was shot, and by Friday he fired back.
A little slow in the trigger, isn't he?
Well, I mean, it's just the way it's written.
I see.
Anyway, yesterday afternoon, the Chicopee police released additional information after a portion of Trilby Avenue was closed for several hours for an investigation. At around 9:21 p.m. on Friday, a woman called 911 and said that someone had entered her apartment and shot her son. The victim was taken to the hospital to be treated for several gunshot wounds. During the investigation, it was revealed that the victim, who is a licensed gun owner, returned fire with his registered gun. Police said this was an isolated incident and there was no threat to the public. And the Chicopee police, along with the Mass State Police, continue to investigate, and they did not say whether anyone has been arrested at this time. So, hey, fight back.
You're not supposed to. You shouldn't be using violence to begin with.
I don't know if the criminal, the typical criminal mind really listens to words of advice like that. Words of reason.
I know, but violence never solved anything, Steve. And people who have violent tendencies make me so mad I just want to punch them right in the face.
Really bad.
Yeah,
like really hard. Yeah, punch you.
It's like that.
We need to keep this peaceful, and if you don't, I'm going to punch you right in the face.
It's like that old Stephen Wright line. I would kill for a Nobel Peace Prize.
He was. We should have him back on.
We should.
The show.
Yeah.
Isn't he like? He's like a.
He comes out here all the time.
He lives in Rhode Island, I believe.
I think that's where he is now. But yeah, he comes out like Northampton quite a lot.
Yeah.
He hangs.
Let's see. With more than $145 million invested in the passenger rail due to the bipartisan infrastructure law, Springfield's Union Station was able to make several improvements over time to increase its ridership. Mass DOT Transportation Secretary Monica Nutt. She's a real nut.
Try not to judge.
Tibbetts nut.
Right. Anyway, what's the increase now?
She says, I think looking at the ridership we're seeing in Springfield just shows that the need is there, and it also shows that investments that we're making are really paying off. This is just one of the many signs of how excited people are about rail and how interested they are in continuing to use it.
Now, for those of you who are doubting the veracity of the story, the total ridership from Springfield to New Haven last year was over 190,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
It's a 20% increase from 2023. And in fact, what they are saying is more than 2.8 million visitors passed through Union Station last year. In my wildest imaginations, I did not realize that there were going to be that many people using the choo-choo.
Well,
but I got to tell you, if it's accessible and cost-effective, people will use it. That's why this east-west rail thing makes so much sense. It's a lot of money to invest, but the ramifications of that and the economic impact of that are really significant.
Yeah, once you make it available.
Yes.
It's easy to say nobody's going to ride this thing because we haven't had it. And now that we have it, people are actually using it. And there are people who are, taking a trip to New York City or for
last time I went to New York City, I took the train.
How much was that though?
Oh, it was like probably no more than $400,000. But other than that, it was perfectly good. Amtrak is a very comfortable way to travel.
It didn't used to be. Amtrak was like the Greyhound of the bus of the train lines.
It wasn't that expensive, but I mean, but it was a whole lot more convenient to do it that way and to get right into Penn Station than drive there.
Isn't it? Wouldn't you be better off just getting a Peter Pan bus?
You could do that too.
Yeah. The Peter Pan bus has, I think they have the direct routes there every day.
They do, but sometimes there's something about a train that's magic, traveling near or far.
Traveling by way of rail is growing in popularity. A year-end report shows the total ridership, like you just said, was more than 190,000, which was a 28% increase from the year before, which saw nearly 150,000. And then Richie Neal's really happy about that.
Well, he should be.
Because he
worked real hard at it.
He did, and he finally got it. And now he can retire.
He's not going to retire anytime soon. I mean, come on, you'd have to get the jaws of life to pull him out of that office.
Springfield Mayor Dom Dom said the price points are much, much better here when it comes to housing or business opportunity, and now we'll be able to travel via rail. And, with the age of now, the computerizations and the internets, you'll be able to work right on there. So you don't even you could have an office right on an Amtrak train.
If done correctly, and I really believe this, if done correctly, if you were able to invest in rail in the proper way, the mayor is right. I mean, the standard of living here is much less than it is, east of Worcester or other parts of the state. I mean, there are benefits to that. If we play our cards right, we will be able to enjoy the same overpriced standard of living that the rest of the state of Massachusetts gets to enjoy. Yeah. And I really believe that.
Who doesn't want their property taxes to go up tenfold?
Who doesn't want to be unable to afford a house here in Western Massachusetts?
Me.
But we got to do it the right way. That's the thing. You can't just go into these these situations half-cocked. You got to go. You got to be full cock to go into this kind of thing.
That's right. By the way, Costco employees are going on strike.
Why?
Because they want more money. Listen, I'm all about paying people what they deserve. But if that price of a hot dog and a soda goes up 1 penny over $1.50,
if you jacked it up from $1.50 to $1.55, forget it.
I ain't never going back. When they're doing the strikes outside and they're doing the picketing and all that stuff, does somebody come out and hand them samples of what real pay would be like? It's like a guy passing out fake checks going, look at what could be. You may be able to find this in your local freezer coming up sometime soon.
Here's a couple of nickels in a small plastic cup.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I remember being on strike at the railroad. I wasn't the one striking. The thing with like the railroad, there's like many different unions that make up the thing. There's like the electrical workers, there's the bridge inspectors, there's like all these different unions.
Right.
And you're supposed to respect the other union. Like if one of the unions goes on strike, then you're supposed to respect that. But if your union isn't on strike and they start going on strike and start barricading like the entranceways,
right?
They have this thing is where like whoever was stuck inside the workplace has to stay there until the thing was done. And that happened to me about 25 years ago.
So you basically held hostage in the building.
It was the best paycheck I ever got in my... It was like a $3,000 paycheck that at the time... I was 20 years old or, 21 years old. And it was like the best paycheck I ever had because I was the only one there, and I was racking up all this overtime. And because it becomes like double time and a half after 16 hours or something like that. And I was there for almost 40 hours over a 2-day period.
Yeah, you think about it. Had the rail yard done their job and taken care of their workers, they would have had to pay you that much money.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Had they been helping the actual workers on strike, they wouldn't have had to overpay you.
I was a teamster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we took care of things the right way. We just make the union leader go away and put him in a barrel at the end of Giant Stadium. That's the way we used to take care of things around here. Now it's arbitration.
Yeah, that was always rules and the law.
But I remember having to be there, and then that was the first time I ever experienced an iced coffee because it was mid-July. It was like 90-something degrees, and this guy goes, "Hey, you want?" They were handing me coffee through the fence because I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave the workplace, so they hand me the coffee. And that was when I fell in love with iced coffee. That was like
is that it?
Yeah, that was the thing that got me going. On the iced coffee.
We could be
Thank God for unions in this country.
We could be making iced coffee down here too.
We could be if we had a proper machine to do that. Don't get into the coffee talk. That's going to piss people off, Bax.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care. This is about me right now.
But yeah, that's how I got. So unions can do good things.
Interesting.
By introducing me to iced coffee.
And much like other unions in America, everybody around the building watched one guy work, and that one guy that day was you.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I would never want to be, because UPS was like the biggest customer of the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because none of those guys would cross that picket line. Again, you have to respect the other union. So they'd send in the managers. Can you imagine being the guy that has to do that has to go across the line? I'd rather be with my brothers on the union.
Yeah.
And all in solidarity, as opposed to being the manager that has to cross the picket line by driving the truck in to pick up the UPS package.
Here's the hook on that, though.
Yeah.
Like, all those UPS managers are former members of the union.
Which is weird.
I know. So in a way, they're kind of like a torn loyalty.
Yeah, but once you cross that promotion of solidarity to ass kisser,
yeah, right.
There's no going back
to union scab.
Union scab ass kisser,
right?
Because that's what it is. You're waiting. All that guy is waiting for is you did a good job today by getting those packages out and being hated by all those people that were on a picket line.
I mean, you may have walked out of there with a couple of broken ribs, but at least everyone found out what Brown can do for you.
Well, I think they cut the power to one of the buildings. Never underestimate the power of a pissed off union.
No, that's right. That's right. Pro-labor.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast, again, with Costco, handing out samples of the benefits that could. You can find this in the payroll office after 9 o'clock tomorrow morning when we come to a settlement.
Here's a plastic cup full of $20, which you could use as a copay if you were working.
Along with a hot dog and a soda for $1.50. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today, you're going to be sunny with a high of 28. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 29. It's 16 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Fresh Rock 102.
Going to be eventually sunny today with a high of 28. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 29. It is 16 right now in downtown Springfield.
This week in Baxy's musical podcast, my guest has been Steve Smith from The Vapors, the band that did Turning Japanese back in 1980. Anyway, they are still together, and they got a brand new record coming out in March on the 23rd called Wasp in a Jar, and it's really, really good. They're coming to the Bosch Theater at the Wang Center in Boston on August 1st as part of the Lost 80s Live Tour with Big Country and the Flock of Seagulls and General Public and a bunch of other bands, and they're going to be part of that too. Next week, my guest is actually really interesting. Her name is Laura Ferris. She goes by the name Lau. She is an Argentinian artist who, for the last 30 years, has been a singer, songwriter, drummer, producer, and a record executive. And she released a new album a few months ago in November called Digital Dream. It's already being considered a synth pop classic. And it's a really interesting interview. Fascinating lady. And you can hear that on Monday on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, as well as the Rock 102 app. And it's all brought to you by Metro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee and Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's a weird story out of San Antonio. A man who was charged in a road rage shooting earlier this week is also accused of trying to purchase a 9-month-old baby and harvest their organs, according to San Antonio police. 21-year-old Jose Israel Terran Jr. is charged with prohibition of the purchase and sale of human organs in addition to 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon from Monday's shooting. Police said that on December 30th, Terran was mistakenly added to a group text message of family members discussing the details of a 9-month-old's baptism. And according to an affidavit for his arrest, Terran, who was not part of the family, responded, "That's a nice baby. How much you want for it?" This is like going back to that lady who had the wrong number for the drug dealer, and it turned out to be a sheriff's deputy. The creator of the group discovered that her uncle had changed his cell phone number, which was now being used by this guy. So she told Terran wrong number and proceeded to block him. Terran continued to text in the group thread asking, "Are you not interested in selling? I'm willing to start the bid at $500,000. The 9-month-old father called Terran, who said he purchased babies for their organs and was willing to pay for the baby in cash or a Bitcoin. What a sick guy.
Yeah.
But at least he was caught because of a mistake. Like, the guy is now going to be going to jail. Because
he was serious.
He was absolutely serious. This guy's a nut job.
So this isn't like one of those situations where you get like an accidental phone call and you start to messing with the guy.
Right.
This isn't a joke.
He said he was willing to meet the same night for the purchase and confirmed he knew the address of the church where the baptism was scheduled in their home address. See, that's the scary part too.
Yeah.
Because you've now mistakenly added somebody to a family group text message. This is why, you know what? It's obviously this guy was caught because of the mistake, but this is why I hate group text messages. There's always somebody that's going to ruin the group text message by talking about things that are not on point.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. It's like, hey, when are you coming to the baptism? What? Babies for sale? Huh?
By the way, that's not what a baptism is all about. It's not really like a swap meet.
Yeah, but imagine thinking that it was your uncle responding. What happened to him? Is he drinking again? What the hell is going on there?
Hey, it is a Thunderbird Thursday, and Saturday the Thunderbirds are taking on the Providence Bruins at the Mass Mutual Center. We happen to have tickets to that game, plus 4 hats, 4 koozies, and all 4 tickets. The 10th caller right now at 293-1021 will win all of that. It's a Thunderbird Thursday here on Rock 102.
Well, there you go.
Okay?
We're looking for a winner right now.
Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Your Echo is ready.
The Amazon